Barbara. I'm a little tilted, but having some. Thank you for joining me for tea. This is a lemon ginger herb tea that I got for Aura, and it smelled so good I thought I would try it. I am having trouble sleeping. Last night I realized I think this is what they call insomnia. I was really pretty much awake all night, so that is a drag. So I'm a problem solver, trying to be in my life, and Dennis is a problem solver, so we sat there and talked this morning about what things I can do. And one of the things was to have less caffeine and stop it earlier. And he had brought me an Americano to sit in bed with, and we decided that that was enough caffeine. And his Americanos start with a double shot of espresso. So I've had my caffeine, and it made me feel so much better, because when I'm sleep deprived like that, I get kind of ill feeling. I don't think I'm ready to go completely decaffeinated. Although, you know, I could try decaf coffee. I don't think I have any decaf coffee. But I'm also trying to cut down on the cream, and I like my coffee with cream. So, but I drink my tea without. So, anyway, I'm having lemon ginger because I don't want to have any more caffeine today. See if that helps. Got any suggestions? But I mean, I was literally wide awake all night. In fact, about 3:30, I thought, you know, this is crazy. I should have my knitting in bed with my neck light, so that when I'm feeling like this, I can just sit there and knit. I thought I could work on the girls' hats. I could have gotten some knitting in, let me tell you. I figure I'm in bed, at least I'm resting. That's my theory of the situation. But anyway, but today was the first day I realized, you know, I have insomnia. This is insomnia. This is not just, you know, having trouble falling asleep. We shall see where that takes us. I'm not sure. So it's the 14th. Happy Vlogmas. Happy CoronaVlogmas December 14th. Time is flying. I put my decorations on my tree, and I set some things around, and I've decided that I'm done decorating. I have things on the table here that will go on the dining room table when that gets cleared. I'm working in the dining room today for whatever I do. Depends on how much energy I have, but I have time. So I need to get the dining room done by next Wednesday when Christy comes. I want everything ready when Christy comes, so that I can just sit and craft with her and talk and whatever. We're going to visit my parents on Thursday, and then we have a lunch date with friends of mine on Friday, and then Saturday is Christmas Eve. So there's no time, you know, it's got to be done by then. And I also have to get my craft room in a good place for her to sleep in there. So that is my plan for the week. That's my whole week. That's the only things I have to do. Or has a doctor's appointment tomorrow afternoon. Other than that, that's the only things I have to do. So there you go. I did knit yesterday. I didn't do a lot on the girls' hats, but I did catch myself up on my shawl. I caught myself up on my shawl, and I really, really love how it's looking. But I have no idea what I'm going to do next. I'm still in the phase where Megan's yarns have enough yarn in the ball to do it stripes. So I'm hoping that I find something. I'm getting some tweed. It says tweed. Oops, I forgot to put this inside. Day 14. I I'm hoping it's a color I want to put next, and I'm not sure what that would look like, so I'm hoping she knows. I'm hoping she knows what color to put next. Oops. A dish towel. Look at this, how colorful and gorgeous. Now that would be a beautiful striped, all those colors. Oh my gosh. How cute. Kiwis, and maybe they're all kiwis. I was looking at them from the back. They might be all kiwis, and it says New Zealand all the way around. So thank you, my dear. This is so adorable. I like to have a dish towel. We often eat in our chairs rather than at the table, and we call these our bibs. I often like to have, you know, something on me because otherwise I spill, or it has one too. And this will be a very fun one. Very fun bib. We call them bibs. Thank you, my dear. That's gorgeous. Let's see what's in here. It's tweed. Yay! These are so lovely. So lovely. Yeah, I don't think I can put this color next though. I think it's just too close. Well, actually, I don't know. Do you think the tweed will come off looking much different? Probably not tons different. Oh, I don't know what to do. What do you think? Anyway, it's beautiful. Thank you, Megan. I really love this color. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe it's okay to put it right here. In fact, I think it would look great. Can I then still go into the pinks and things? I don't know. We'll see. I did do some work on my hat. In fact, I just did a little bit of work on my hat because I just filmed a little piece where I talk about how I knit these 2 at a time. I don't know if it's any good, and I don't know if it's helpful, but Susie had asked for a little talk about how I knit 2 at a time. I knit them 2 at a time, just like I knit my socks. So the last time you saw it, I was here. So that's all I've knit in the last couple days. And I need to get cracking because, well, because I need to knit. Oh, I don't have much further to go before I'm starting my decreases. So maybe, because it's going to be like this. Yeah. Well, the decreases will start probably in about 1 inch. Because this is what the hat's going to look like. This is what the hat's going to look like once it's done. Okay, that'll fit nicely. I don't know. Is that going to be... It's hard to know. It's a small adult. I'm just going to go by the size and call it a day. They may not be able to turn up the brim too much, but it will be doubled, so they don't need to. But anyway, I'm going to put my little explanation of, well, I'll put that at the end. Explanation of how I do it 2 at a time, but I do it exactly the way I do my socks, if that's any help at all. So yesterday I knit quite a bit because I put in 2 stripes on my shawl, and I finished my decorating, and that's pretty much all I did. Walked the dogs. I didn't go to the store. I keep thinking that's hair, but it's not. It's my lampshade. And today I'm puttering in the dining room, starting to need to make some progress there. And Yeah, I don't have any plans to go out and about today. So another boring day. But I did get some knitting done. I think I'm gonna go with that. And then see what happens tomorrow. My other choices, I've got some crazy colors and some milder colors from Benta that I have not used yet, that am very happy to use. Ooh, I forgot about that one. I wonder, ooh, I forgot about this one. Ooh. Maybe that's what I'll do next. Maybe I'll do that next, and that'll bring it a little bit lighter. And have I done this pink before? I don't know that I have. So anyway, I have lots of choices. I do want to go off into a pink direction. And then bring it back to the green direction. Anyway, I have lots of options that are ending up on the floor. But I forgot about that one. That could bring things together a little bit. But I think I'm going to go with the peachier one next and see what happens. That's my plan. All right, so that's what's happening today. Just puttering in the dining room. I've shown you the befores of that dining room. I may take a still picture of it before I start today, because I didn't really do anything in there yesterday. I was working in here yesterday, so there you go. Meanwhile, please take good care of yourselves. If you care for an explanation of how I do 2 at a time hats, that's coming up. And if it doesn't come up, it's because it turned out really lousy, and I'm going to do it again later in the day with better setup. I was kind of, ad hocing the setup, and maybe it didn't work out. So if there's nothing after this, it's coming tomorrow. How about that? Please, please take good care of yourselves. Please stay safe and stay sane. So Susie asked me to show her, to talk about how I'm doing the hats 2 at a time. Well, I'm doing the hats 2 at a time this exact same way that I do socks 2 at a time. So it's a version of Magic Loop, and I'll show you how I knit it, and then I'll talk about how I get started and how it works. So here's my loop. I'm adding a new color right this minute, so you'll get to see that. And because of the nature of the hats and everything, I'm just knitting the new color and the old color together for a few stitches, because it saves on weaving in the ends. I will be having to weave in the ends before I close up the hats, so if I have a few of them that are knit together, I don't know if you can see, maybe this is a better angle, I'm not sure. So I knit Continental, and this is just stockinette. So I still have the stitch markers in that signify the quarter, that help quarter the hat, because when you start this hat, you start with one of those cast-ons that are tiny little, and you can pull it and it closes the hole. And I forget the names of them, but it's in the pattern, and I looked it up on YouTube, and I have to watch it 3 times before I can do it. So So I'm at the end of the first half of Sammy's hat. And now, because it's magic loop, I have Isabel's hat next. And Isabel's getting a different color. But the same theme. Bright, cheerful. And I'm going to knit hers together with the old color as well. So the back is on the, you can't see anything, my hands are in the way, is on the cord. And the needle is coming off the old hat and the new hat. This is standard magic loop. So now I'm knitting the front of the new hat with the new color, and that's one thing that I did on the Zoom is I forgot to switch the color and I knitted the two hats together and I had to think back. But anyway, so I'm going to knit the front of Isabel's now. Okay, so that's the front of Isabel's, and now I have a long cord here and a little loop here, so I'm pulling it, pushing it would be better because I have pulled it out in the past. So now I have a big loop at the end and my two hats, and you have to be careful when you go to the next stitch, because sometimes it's hard to get your stitches on your needle if you pull too tight, because as I pull my needle out to start knitting again, my loop is a lot smaller, and now I'm going to knit the other side of the hat. This is Isabel's hat, and so when I do these first stitches, I need to be careful not to pull too tight. I want them tight because I don't want a ladder, but I don't want them too tight because, as you see, they can make it hard to get back on the needle. So now I'm doing the other side of Isabel's hat with the new yarn. So this is basic magic loop technology. It would be as if you had a 40-inch needle and you were trying to do a 35 or a 24-inch project. You would magic loop it if you had a 40-inch needle. So it's the same idea. Okay, I've gotten to the end of Isabel's yarn, and I just put it over this way towards me, and now I pick up Samantha's yarn and knit the other side of her hat. So I'm done with Isabel's, and now I'm starting Samantha's. Just like that. Make sure you don't use the same yarn on both of them. You have to go back. I've done that many times when I was doing socks. So let me finish Sammy's other side, and then I'll talk about how I get them on the needle to start. Okay, so I finished knitting the other side of Sammy's hat, and so now I have the two hats side by side again, and I'm ready to do the other side of Sammy's hat. The way I start putting 2 hats is exactly the same as the way I start putting 2 socks. And that is, I start with 1 sock or 1 hat. And this is a pretty genius pattern. If you haven't knit a muscle burrow, you basically cast on a few stitches, you split them up, and you start doing increases, and you can see the increases here. Start doing increases, and you knit for about an inch. And then she has a chart that you check your gauge from that inch and see how many stitches you're getting per inch, and then you look at the chart and see what size hat you want to make and how many stitches you have per inch, and then it tells you how many increases you should do and how many stitches you should have in each quadrant. So what I did for these hats is I did that for one hat, and I knit all the way up to the end of the increases. Then I took that hat off the needles, and I literally had already started working on my shawl. So I had my shawl needles handy, and so I literally took that first hat that I had that was only this tall, and I slid it off the needles just like this. It was the only one on the needle. Just like this, I slid it onto my needles for my shawl, just to hold it. And I just did it like this. I just went along and I just picked them off, just like this, onto another needle to be held. And then I had an empty needle again, and I did the same thing with the other yarn for the second hat. And when I was up to the exact same spot on the second hat, then I replaced the first hat back on the needles. So now I have both hats on the same needle, and I knit them just like I just showed you, 2 at a time, just like I do my socks. And you need the only thing to be careful about is that when you put your hat back on the needles, that you have it in exactly the same orientation as both hats are in the same orientation. So I'm ready to start knitting on this side of this hat, and my working yarn is right here, and then I will be knitting on this side of this hat, and my working yarn is right there to do that. That's the only thing you have to do, only consideration you have to have, and voila, you're knitting 2 at a time. I hope that is helpful a little. I really, anything that you're trying to do that you're trying to keep even, like if you're knitting sleeves, you can knit them 2 at a time. If you're knitting the fronts of a cardigan and it's a piece and you're knitting it in pieces, you can knit both fronts at the same time using this method. Now each of the hats is on a different ball of yarn all the time. Each of the socks, when you're doing this on socks, is on a different ball of yarn all the time. But basically it's very easy to keep them together. So I will just keep knitting on this for a little while and see if if I can give you a good view of it. It's hard to know if you can tell what I'm doing, but I'll do it fast.